Hello, everyone. Welcome back. We've had such a fantastic range of content and topics over the last day and a half. It's been truly inspiring to have so many different areas of the industry covered. One area we haven't really gone into any detail with yet is venues and infrastructure. So really pleased now to be welcoming Daniel Cordey, who is the chairman of our strategic partner organisation, the Association of Global Events Suppliers, to cover the topic of rethinking venues and infrastructure in the light of what's going on in the world right now. He's joined by some of the biggest and most interesting events coming up over the next few years. We have UEFA, Christian Hirschmüller from UEFA Events, David Leather from CGF Partnerships, Stephen Davis, who is the managing director of SDD Concerts, which is one of the few festival organisers to actually stage festivals in the UK with live audiences in fields. How about that? Well done, Stephen. And also Marion Schoene from the Olympiapark Munich, which is one of the host venues of the 2023 European Championships. Over to you, Daniel. Thanks.
Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. I hope you hear me well. This is panel 12 at the Host City Conference, and I'm the moderator. My name is Daniel Cordey, the chairman of AGES, which is the Association of Global Event Suppliers. Thank you, Ben, for inviting AGES to create a panel about venues and infrastructure for international events. No doubt, within the last years, the digitalization and increasing environmental awareness had an impact on how venues and infrastructure were being used. But how will this unprecedented pandemic influence that process? For instance, will public and private funds still be available to finance sports and culture events? Will organizers, venue owners, and providers have the money to invest in new products or new formats? Quite a few questions and a challenging environment. That's why we chose the title of our panel, Rethinking Venues and Infrastructure. It's a great privilege to moderate this talk, having renowned industrial professionals in this panel. My guests all represent different businesses and have different backgrounds, so it will be interesting to hear their position. My questions will be about how they experienced the current situation and how they look at the future development, considering this pandemic, of course. We will end the session with an outlook of their activities in 2021 and hopefully take a few questions from the audience. So please post them with a queue at the beginning, and I'll be looking at them at the end of the session. So let me briefly introduce my panelists, starting with Marion Schoene. She is the general manager at the Olympiapark Munich GmbH. She started 2010 and knows all facets of the Olympiapark, which is not only the largest event, leisure and tourism location in Europe, but a landmark and a living heritage celebrating its 50th anniversary soon. We have then David Leather, CEO of the CGF Partnerships. David was the Deputy CEO of the Manchester 2002 Commonwealth Games, the Finance Director at the ODA in London, and the COO for the Glasgow 2014 Commonwealth Games. Actually, David has two hats. One is the Executive Vice President of Sport 5, and the other is the CEO of the CGF Partnerships. He will tell you more about that later on. We have Christian Hirschmüller, Head of Technical Services and Overlay at the UEFA Event SA. Christian has over 20 years of experience in event business and joined the UEFA in 2008. He takes care of the technical stadium infrastructure and the overlay works for all major UEFA events, and was busy this year rescheduling the UEFA Euro 2020 and the club competition finals into 2021. He will tell you more about that later. And finally, Steve Davis, the managing director and founder of SSD Industries. Over the past decades, SSD Concert has grown to become one of the UK's largest independent live events promoters, creating several established festivals, including This Is Tomorrow, Hit the North, and Live from Times Square. Steve is also the founder of SSD Concert. Welcome, Marion, Steve, Christian. It's good to have you on. Before we enter the discussion, I kindly ask the panelists to give the audience a brief and high-level introduction about your company and your activity. And I would like to start, ladies first, with Marion. So Marion, please.
Yeah, thank you for the nice introduction. Hello to all the other panelists and hello to everyone who joined in. So I'm the CEO, the general manager of the famous Olympic Park in Munich. And it's very difficult to describe all the things we do here because we have such a wide range of products we offer here. So I think it would be very good if you can see a video from the park. It takes only 1 minute. Could please someone play the video now? Is it possible? So you have seen a short video about MASH, which means Munich Action Sport Heroes. It's our action sport spectacle. We organized since 2014. And it's one of my favorite events here in the park. And you can see that the pictures were from 2019 because there's no social distancing between the people. But MASH is only one event out of around about 400 we stage every year here in the park. And we have a second pillar here. This are our tourism and leisure facilities. So you can, for example, have a guided tour through the park, or you can make a tour on our world famous rooftop. And this second pillar brought us or mitigated a little bit the negative impacts of the coronavirus. And then the Olympic Park is also a very famous place for sport. So everybody can make sport here. We have a lot of indoor and outdoor facilities, from an ice rink up to a swimming hole. And we also host professional sport here. So our German ice hockey master champion is placed in our Olympic ice hole. And we have also the Olympic base of the federal state of Bavaria here. So that the professional athletes who are sometimes all the members of the national team of Germany could train here on the location, and they get also medical advices and support from very special consultants. So I hope you have got a short impression of what we are doing here in the Olympic Park. And it's very active and lively here, but at the moment it's really it's like in a ghost town at the moment. So it's very, very quiet.
Thank you, Marion. Thank you for this introduction. David, may I pass on to you for your introduction?
Thank you. The video, I think, sums up quite well some of the opportunities that the Games can bring to a host city. New investment, new jobs, new skills, new opportunities, both in the lead up to and during the Games. And that's why I thought it was relevant to show it to you today. So let me provide you with some of the background to CGF Partnerships. It's essentially, as Daniel said, it's a joint venture between the CGF and Sport 5, 60% owned by the CGF, 40% owned by Sport 5. We established the company back in 2017, partly in response to the increasing cost of successive editions of the Games, which, like other events, had to that point increased significantly over time, one event after the other. That was partly attributable to different teams being involved in host cities, pushing up service levels, inefficiencies that had contributed to that, continually going through new processes with the supply chain. So continually reinventing the wheel. And part of the role of CGFP is to stop reinventing the wheel and to carry forward knowledge from one Games to the next. So we've changed the overall Games delivery arrangements and the overall commercial arrangements as well to address that. It now means that the CGF is taking a much greater role and responsibility in terms of both the commercial and operational delivery of the Games. The intention is to reverse that trend of increasing costs and have longer term deals in place with sponsors and with the supply chain. We've probably got about 28 people now seconded into the Birmingham Organising Committee in key roles that span from venue overlay, venue management, throughout Games operations, game services, through to the technology and broadcast areas. So covering all of the key delivery areas of the Games. And the other thing it enabled us to do was set up the Organising Committee, working obviously with the partners in government, in the City Council and Commonwealth Games England. We were able to get the Organising Committee set up and running very quickly, and that's going to enable us to deliver the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham in under 5 years, whereas historically it's taken 7 years to deliver each Commonwealth Games from the point of setting up an Organising Committee to actual delivery. Another key area is systems. So the Games management systems are being procured at the moment through CGFP, and those Games management systems will carry forward for the next 3 iterations of the Games. And we're also responsible for the generation of the commercial revenues, so the TV rights sales, the sponsorship sales, doing those multi-Games deals that I talked about earlier, and also merchandising and licensing. Probably the most significant one of those deals at the moment to date is with Longines. So they will, or the Swatch Group will provide all the timing, scoring and results requirements for not just the Birmingham Games, but the following 2 Games as well. So I hope that gives you some sort of overview of the role and responsibilities of the organisation.
Thank you, David, for this overview. I'll just hand over to Christian.
Thank you, David. Hello, everyone. Yeah, UEFA, as the European Football Association, is the owner of about more than 2,000 football matches per year. The biggest one, the Euro, the Champions League, with the finals, Europa League, all in men and women football, women's football, which is our very fast and big growing market, but down to all the youth matches, which is also the European youth matches, under 21, under 19, under 17, which is also under our roof. Unique probably for such a big association is that we have a 100% daughter company, UEFA Events SA, which is responsible for planning, production, delivery, operation of all the events UEFA is owns, and also for the marketing of these events. So if you're talking, it's like a full service agency which is delivering, including TV Signal, which is delivering the events. Quite unique, I think, for a big organization. And we have about in non-euro phases or low euro phases 150 fixed employees, and it is actually, or soon back for euro next year, about 800 people to deliver euro. So in our organizational structure, the LOC takes another role for delivering a major event than probably in other organizations. So if we're talking about technical services and overlay here, we doing the contracts with the suppliers, we planning, we are the production unit to deliver the event, and it is also up to health and safety, technical approval, layout approvals, all the permissions, all the technical stuff, everything what is fixed installed in the stadium, all the overlay stuff what we need in addition. So with all the contracts, tenders and everything, so that is on our table. And actually we have in addition 18 stadiums for next year to replan according to COVID mitigation measures.
Thank you, Christian, for this introduction. And last but not least, I'll hand over the floor to Steve.
Hi, thanks, David. So we're SSD Concerts based in Newcastle in the northeast of England. We attract over 500,000 people a year to music concerts and festivals, and that ranges from 200 capacity venue shows to up to 30,000 capacity festivals. We've got over 10 years experience in live music promotion and festivals. We have over 70 employees, which is probably the fastest growing promoter in the UK. And we do everything from the marketing to the production of the festivals. All elements from ticketing and everything are withheld by our company internally. And most recently, obviously, when COVID hit and the industry ground to a halt, we're kind of, I guess, became semi-famous for launching the largest socially distanced music venue in the world at the time, which was the Virgin Money Unity Arena. And we attracted over 50,000 people over a month to a purpose-built socially distanced music arena where the customers watched the live music from their own platform, their own viewing area, and they raised in height as people went further back from the stage. And we obviously brought in all extra hand washing facilities and bigger search lanes and things like that to make sure it was safe for everyone. There were no reported cases of COVID, obviously, at the arena, and it got worldwide acclaim we had kind of interaction with the Canadian Prime Minister and lots of other people in the industry who all got in touch to say thanks for kind of bringing live music back. And we're hoping to bring it back further next year as well. But I hope that's a brief introduction to kind of what we do. We run This Is Tomorrow Festival also, which has got a 60,000 capacity. I know that all of our other events are obviously moved this year. So we've moved over 2,000 live music shows into 2021 that were planned for this year. So it's been a bit of a mad 2020.
Thank you, Steve, for this introduction, and good you're holding the flag for live music. Okay, so 1 year ago, you were all looking forward to a nice Christmas break and preparing the year to come, as usual. But just two months later, everything changed. Can you maybe explain what happened with the outbreak of the pandemic? What did this mean to you, to your team, to your project? Maybe just considering time, a 30-second flash, within short impressions, starting maybe with David. What happened?
Well, like everybody else on this call, I imagine, we all started working from home. Actually, it's meant finding a different way of working. So the organised committee in Birmingham has gone from strength to strength. It's probably doubled in size during the COVID period. The vast majority of work has been able to continue uninterrupted. We have had a couple of I guess, major challenges. One was the impact of the Olympics moving. So with Tokyo moving, that meant the World Athletics Championships moved to a year later. And that's had a significant impact in the sense that we now have a very congested calendar in the summer of 2022 with the World Athletics Championships, the Commonwealth Games, then the European Championships, and there's also the women's Euros football taking place in England just before the Commonwealth Games as well. The other big impact, I suppose, has been on the capital programme. So the intention was that there would be all of the athletes would be housed in brand new accommodation. All of that accommodation is still going to be built, so the legacy benefit for the community is still going to be very much there. But we are now having to house all the athletes and team officials in the 2 universities and a number of hotels. So some quite significant changes to operational planning, but I guess we have overcome the challenges and are still going to be able to deliver the games very successfully. And the organisation has continued to go from strength to strength in terms of attracting and growing the organisation. But what it has meant is that probably half the people within the organising committee have actually never met each other in person. Obviously, we hope all that will change once we get into the new year.
Thank you, David. Christian, that must have been the start of an adventure, you know, with this the outbreak of the pandemic.
Yes. 30 seconds is much enough to explain. When we cancelled or when we announced the cancellation of the Euro this year, our trucks were already on the way to set up the Euro. So we were in operations and set up operations. So now the task was to bring back the venues and the cities, which have definitely other problems than discussing a Euro next year. To do all the contracts. We had 500 contracts to amend. But at one point we had a certainty there because we knew we will do it in 21. Nobody talked about at that moment for the club competitions where we had no idea how to do we finish the Champions League, Europa League, where we do finish, how we do finish it. We had one week before we cancelled the whole stuff. We had a meeting where in the season we said we will play the matches in any case. So probably in other venues or whatever. And 1 week later we cancelled. So you see, in 1 week this dynamic in this whole situation was there. It was just crazy time.
Thank you, Christian. I imagine. Just to go over to Marion in Munich, what happened there?
Yes, what happened there? It hit us like a lightning because we had a ban of major events until the end of the year. And we had to close all our tourism and leisure facilities. So from one moment to another moment, we more or less have lost our business, our whole business. It was like a frustration of contract. So it changed completely our work here. Normally, the whole team is working overtime, and we see us during the lunchtime. We see us also in the evening when we attend together a concert. And many of them, most part of the team, has to work in home office or to do mobile work. So it's also a challenge for leadership. It's called you know the new word, remote leadership, how to tackle with it. And at the end of the year, we will have a loss of nearly 6 million euros. That's a very, very bad economic situation. And so you could not put your feet on the table. You have to, more or less, you have to rethink your business. But what we did is, at first, we had to do a lot of legal works. We had to postpone all the events. Nearly 80 events have to be postponed. Some of them, or now also a bigger part of them, has to be cancelled. So what to do with empty venues? It's not an easy question, and it was a great effort of the whole team. So we developed things like hygiene, safety concepts, so that we can reopen at least our tourism and leisure facilities. But you can imagine with a very low capacity. So from the economic point of view, it more or less it doesn't make sense to open them. But we did it because we wanted to show the citizens of Munich that we are still here, that live entertainment is going on in the park. Also, we could only stage concerts in the summertime with only 400. With only a capacity of 400. So we did what we can, but at the end, it's a very, very big challenge.
Thank you, Marion. I imagine that was a challenge. Steve, I'll come to you later on, but just let me maybe move to the next question. I mean, listening to you all, one realizes that the impact of this pandemic was huge, and the crisis was as severe and disruptive as we imagined. So the question, will this crisis be a game changer for your business? How will it impact venues and infrastructure on the long run? And will this produce a push to digitalization or towards greening? Will funds be in place to finance your projects? So these are a few questions, and let me maybe start with to look at that. What do you expect?
The football format is set, and I think we are on the one side of quite a luxury position there. I'm fully aware of this. From the venues and infrastructure, which is more my expertise instead of the digitalization and so on, I'm not sure if in the pandemic year, the events next year, that will change a lot. But after this, I'm not sure if there are too much changes. We have changes in the operation. We rethink service levels, and I think if we see that other service levels working as well now, then I could imagine that we will keep this. Also, the way we do site visits and travel around, that will change. We have set the last 2 years a complete digital platform for site visits called Vista, which is like Google Street View. You have the plans inside, you have planning tools inside, which is great. It works. We had it in March when we recalled the venues and did all the discussions with somebody with the camera on site and discussing really operational and planning things from at home, and it worked well. And I think we will much less travel for organizing an event.
Thank you, Christian. Steve, can you tell us a little bit what do you think will change or might change?
I think it's kind of a bit early to kind of predict, but where we're at the minute in live music is when the start is going to be, is the big, like when we know when things can start, we can see how they're going to go ahead. But the cost involved currently of the increased staffing and the hand sanitizers and everything we'd need to do big 40,000 capacity outdoor music festivals, it seems it is definitely not going to be kind of workable from a finance point of view without any assistance from government. there's no way on earth we could run our events and keep everyone safe just by the nature of them at the minute. And I think obviously live music streaming has become a bigger thing, and people have earned a lot of, like some of the larger artists have earned a lot of money from streaming, which has been really good and has kept some people in jobs. But I think at the bottom end, and new bands that are coming through, and kind of people who are just cutting their teeth at the bottom end, it's going to create a massive void. And the after effects we kind of maybe won't see for a couple of years on younger bands. And I think so the financial hit that some of the business, obviously our business and other music promoters and the people putting these events on have had, that is also going to take effect on things like artist fees and kind of what we can offer people and staff wages and things, because it's going to take us a couple of years to get over this from where we are now. But I think people have got to be innovative, and these socially distanced events have been really successful, and we might have to look at more of those. But I think it's going to be a long road until we're kind of out of this. It's going to be really busy, which is good. I think we're going to have 2 years work, probably in a 3 to 4 month when we get the go ahead. So we are going to obviously have a massive period of a lot of work, which is great. But when that is still very grey, and it's quite scary, as if the summer of 2021 doesn't happen, then I think we're in. It's going to be a disaster for the kind of live music and touring scene.
Thank you, Steve. Marion, what is your opinion about the long-lasting effect of this pandemic for the Olympiapark?
Yes, good question. We are in the lucky positions that we have good capital reserves. So, but the same like Steve said, we need to come back to live entertainment in the summer of next year. We thought a lot of about investments in infrastructure. Could we improve the situation? Because there was a study which was made in Leipzig, in the arena of Leipzig. And one of the results was that it's very, very difficult to have a safe ventilation in the arena. So we have here in the Olympic Hall, with a capacity about 5,000 people, really new ventilation, a ventilation system on the highest level. But the problem is, the better the ventilation works, you spread due to the movement of the air. You spread the aerosols, and so you spread the virus into the spectators. So we had to think about this, or we are thinking at the moment about this. Should we invest in a new ventilation system? What can we do, or should we purchase new fever, contactless fever measurement devices? So it's the problem is that there is a very high uncertainty. So you cannot plan. Or better, you have to do more than one plan. So for every scenario, you have to have a plan. And that's the real problem. But I hope that we could go back to live entertainment next year in the summertime, and that we can start with open air concerts, because open air concerts are more safe than indoor events, and we have to try out some things how we can make our events safer. But at the end, we all hope that the vaccine or a quick corona test can be a solution, so that we can stage our events like the years before, even if we will have some new regulations to consider. I compare it sometimes with the situation in with the terror attacks, which Manchester or Bataclan. At the moment, we have a body check at the admission. You haven't saw it over this a decade ago, but now it's the new normal, more or less. You have these body checks. You can bring bags with you. Perhaps it will be the new normal that you have to wear a mask, or you have to show that you have been vaccinated, or you have to show your negative corona test. But it's more or less look in a crystal glass. So, but I look hopefully in the future. I have to, I think.
Thank you, Marion, for this optimistic position. Leading me to come to David and asking if there is any, what your thoughts are about these long-term effects for your initiative.
I think the first thing to say is that COVID has reminded us really of the importance to everybody of live sporting events. It's so important for our well-being. It's so important to many people's lives. So I think you asked the question about would funds be in place for these sorts of events going forward, and I think the answer is definitely yes, because they are so important to people and to the psyche of the nation. In terms of changes that could come out of COVID, looking longer term, so I think some positive things will come out of it, because we have demonstrated that we can work in more efficient ways, in more sustainable ways. So when I think about some of the changes that we were making anyway in terms of the delivery of the event, if anything, the way in which people have responded to COVID has demonstrated that people soon get used to a new norm, if you like, in terms of the way that they work. So it's encouraged us to think more about how we can plan and deliver these games without immediately jumping to the default position as we have in the past, that as soon as the games are awarded, we then immediately set up an organising committee, a new group of people in a host city. A lot of the planning work can be done centrally, and we'll give more thought to that going forward, because we've had people organising the games in Birmingham who are all over the UK, but also in many different parts of the Commonwealth, all contributing, some of them working rather odd hours given the time zones that they're in, but they've all been contributing in the fullest way, in no different way really than if they were sitting in an office. In terms of the event itself, I think it's also giving us cause to think again about some of the games requirements. So we've always had this requirement to have new housing and an athletes' village. It's a very long time ago since we had use of a university facility. It was back in 2002, in fact. But we're going to be doing that in Birmingham, and we're not going to be having everybody in one location as we have in the past. And actually, there are going to be some real positives coming out of that for athletes, in that they'll be sleeping, they'll be accommodated closer to their venues in which they're competing. So what it's doing is causing us to rethink some of the ways in which we deliver the event, and causing us to think, can we do this more efficiently, and can we do it more sustainably, with less of an environmental footprint.
Thank you, David. Thank you all for your position and opinions. Looking at the time, I think we'll come to conclude our session, and I have a personal question I would like to ask you, looking into the next year, 2021. So let's maybe start with Steve. We understand live music went into hibernation now this year, but I'm sure you are preparing the new season, and you mentioned a few things. So what may the fans expect from you to happen next year?
At the minute, we're obviously hoping that we can get the show back on the road, really. But we're going to start the first quarter of next year. We're looking at socially distanced shows, so we're going to take the venue, the Virgin Money Unity Arena, on the road, and we're looking at other cities to do it in. So that's going to be our kind of in March, April, May is our plan, and then we're all kind of just waiting for guidance. Currently it's a bit grey as to we've moved, when it first started we moved our events back by 3 months in March, not realizing how COVID was going to transpire and get obviously into this much greater beast. And obviously we moved everything and we moved it again, and we've done refunds for people where needed. But the biggest kind of problem is when we can start. So I hope and we are planning that we could start doing outdoor live shows from July and August. So we're very much getting ready for there. We've moved all of our events. We're making provisions in all of the production planning for more hand sanitization, for bigger search lanes for people, and kind of bigger exit lanes, and we're trying to expand the sites where possible. So in the hope that if we can go ahead, we're ready for it. But I'm still very skeptical as if we will be to do non-socially distant shows in 2021, which, like I said before, would be a massive disaster. But I think we can only kind of improvise and plan to do these socially distant shows that we know are allowed right now. And obviously we're just going to have to take small steps and the kind of long road to recovery as an industry, I think, and again looking at more streaming options and other ways to diversify. Like all of our music venues currently have turned into outdoor beer gardens, and where we're showing sport for people and stuff. So we've improvised where possible, but in terms of live music, I think we've got a long way to go yet. And I think the industry leaders like Glastonbury and Coachella and people like that, their decisions, I think, will start the process for what everyone else can do. So we're very much waiting to see what the big boys kind of do, and then we'll probably follow suit as usual.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you. Marion, with the European Championships in 2022, you will be hosting a large multi-sport event. I reckon this is a top event on your agenda. So how are you preparing?
Yes, you're right. This is really our top event. It will be the biggest multi-sport event in Munich, and I think also it will be the biggest multi-sport event in Germany since 1972, since the Olympic Games, which took place here in the Olympiapark. So at the end, we tried to do it as normal as we could do it in this time. We have our team has grown up to 90 people at the moment, and yes, we were very proud and we were happy that we have the support of our public funders. And they also give us the allowance. They also allowed us to add 4 new sports, and they made this decision in April during the Corona crisis. So I think this was a very big success for us, that we have now 9 sports here, that we will have 9 sports here in 2022. And I hope that the crisis will not break down this event. So we try to prepare it as without thinking of Corona, but we have all the plans in the drawer for hygiene concepts, and I hope, like Steve, that we will not have social distancing in the year 2022. So we have to. Otherwise, we couldn't hit our budget. So. But on the other hand, it's what Steve said. We try to do everything more efficiently. We try to use all the all the positive impacts of Corona, like that it was really pushing in the direction of digitalization. But at the end, it will be a live event, and I think that that live events will not vanish in the after Corona time, because from my perspective, people are very hungry to come together and to celebrate their sport or their band live with other people together, and to have an emotional festival. So I hope that we can, looking forward, very optimistic to 2022. And I would be happy if some of you will join us in Munich in August 2022.
Thank you, Marion, for the invitation. We will come, don't worry. David, you are on track with your partnership program, but tell us a bit about the challenges you will face in 2021.
Yeah, 2021 is going to be a big year. Obviously, the Olympics going ahead and spectators getting back into venues is going to be incredibly important to build confidence and to enable us to plan with greater certainty. So I think the Olympics going ahead and demonstrating how you can bring athletes together safely and with confidence and get spectators back in venues is going to be so important. So that's one key aspect, I think, of next year. Another big thing for us is the identification of the host city for 2026. So for the 2022 games, we made that appointment with about 4.5 years to go to the games. So the equivalent timing would be the end of next year. So obviously those discussions, which are ongoing at the moment with quite a number of countries, are being hampered somewhat in that everything is being done via Teams calls, and we can't go and meet and inspect facilities and so forth. So that has been a bit of drawback and has certainly slowed things down. As regards Birmingham, I guess the biggest things there are the two capital projects. So the Alexandra Stadium, which is going through a massive revamp and expansion in terms of seating, with new stands being built, and then a brand new aquatic centre at Sandwell. So both those capital programmes are on track, but being able to complete them so we can do the test events is going to be really important. And the other thing is, we're hoping by at some point within Q1 of next year, we'll be able to get people back in numbers into the office in Birmingham, so that people can start to get around a table rather than to have planning meetings and get out to venues for those planning meetings rather than having to do everything online. So it's going to be a big year. The other thing is a huge number of procurement contracts will be let probably in the first half of next year, actually. Many of those in the venue overlay temporary infrastructure space. So it's going to be quite important, and we'll have to build in flexibilities into some of those contracts, no doubt, given some of the uncertainties around COVID.
Thank you, David. And last but not least, Christian, will we be enjoying the Euro in 2021?
Definitely in the one or the other way. But I say definitely. Who I am to say definitely? No, from our side, UEFA, we're doing everything to make this happen. That's clear, and we are fully convinced that the Euro and also the Champions League season and the Europa League season will be finished. The challenge is at the moment clearly the ranges between full stadiums and behind closed doors. It is somewhere in between, and for the moment we don't know where we land, and we have to be prepared for all eventualities. Having in mind, in 3.5 months we start again to set up.
Well, thank you. I realize our time is gone, is elapsed. I think you were an excellent panel. I enjoyed your answers. You gave a good insight in your business and in your thoughts and what is keeping you busy in the future. So I think I will just conclude that with my many thanks from here from Switzerland. Wish you well, and handing over back to Ben for the continuation. So thank you very much. Cheers, everybody. It was a pleasure to have you on the panel.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yes, thank you, Daniel. I totally concur. That's an excellent panel. Brilliant speakers. Thank you so much. And Christian, just to hear you say, who am I to say definitely? I think that pretty much sums up this level of uncertainty that we're all grappling with at the moment. And of course, to hear more than one of the other speakers to say just how crucial it is that events are up and running next summer, just for the survival of the industry, particularly the entertainment sector. So I guess that's what we're here to work out, is how to get there.